Hi.
Hi.
May you please introduce yourself?
Cool. My name is Alexis Lewis. I use she, her pronouns. I work here at Campus Pool, and I also run Petticoat. That's kind of my thing.
That is a resume right there.
Yeah, I also went to St. Brendan's Cotton. No, I'm checking.
So, I want to preface this interview with something that I've never done before, I don't think, which is that I want to make it clear that you and I know each other.
Yeah.
And that we have talked before this interview about some of the things we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I have essentially asked your permission to ask questions, and that I'm old, and that I do my best to try and have an understanding of everything in the world that's going on around me.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to be ignorant, and I do not want to have ignorant views or have ignorant opinions, or just be ignorant of facts and reality.
Yeah.
And if I express anything throughout this interview which is ignorant, then please enlighten me. And to the viewers at home, if I express anything that's ignorant, then I apologise. I would also like to make it clear that I am not under any impression that you are a representative of anything.
Yeah.
I am here talking to you, Alexis, as an individual person.
Exactly.
So, you started off by informing us that you use she, her pronouns.
Yep.
Okay. In your own words, may you explain a little bit about that, if you're happy to do so?
Yeah, of course. So I was assigned male at birth, is what most trans people call it, either assigned female or assigned male at birth. And through the last 3 or so years, I've started to transition into living the way I want to live, and that's as a woman. And that's that. It needs no more explaining.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
No worries.
Right. It doesn't need any more explaining, but I'm interested in it, and I want to, and we've agreed that we can talk about this.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, okay, cool. And how old are you now?
I'm 22 now.
Okay, so this started at 19.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of
sorry,
known.
it didn't start, sorry.
You know?
You mentioned about the 3-year period, so hence why I mentioned 19.
Well, I started my social transition about 3 years ago, somewhere around there. But I've always kind of known, but it was, growing up in a rougher part of town and, going through school and whatnot, you learn very quickly that, certain things you don't talk about and certain things about yourself you don't show. And I feel like that's for everyone, not just, queer people, it's for cis people as well. You get into that environment and it's, everyone's fighting and trying to make sure that they're, not seen as insignificant or, lower than anyone else.
Yeah.
And so everyone kind of ends up putting on this facade. And it's not until I moved into the centre of Bristol and started to, be around more queer people and be around my friends and people who are supportive that I realised that I can live life the way that I want to, and no one else is going to stop me doing that.
Nice.
The only thing that was stopping me doing that was the social pressure, the people around me. And as soon as that changed, I changed. And I feel like that happens for a lot of people, where people kind of get stuck in their bubble and that's the be all and end all of their life. I still go for Instagram and see my mates that still live in the same town, who are hanging out with the same people, who are with the same person they've been with since year 11. And I look at it and I'm like, how? I can't imagine my life's always staying the same past school.
Right.
It seems a bit wrong to me,
So was it a challenging school experience for you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, as much as I didn't want to let on, all the kids still, called me gay or called me the F slur or and that at that time going through, your teenage years, that solidified in my head that maybe there is something wrong with me. And it wasn't until, I was out of those groups and out of those like people being around me that I realized that there is nothing wrong with me, and I decide my reality and no one else can.
Something wrong with you, sweetie. What a thing to have to think about like that. Like,
Yeah, but doesn't everyone? At some stage in their life, you like, most people, I feel like, especially skateboarders, like, we're all a bunch of fucking weirdos.
for sure. Yeah.
I really hate when people are like, oh, skateboarding's so cool, like, you're so cool, you skateboard. And it's like, it is the lamest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you're just going around on a wooden toy, like, trying to get buck or nah.
Yeah.
And it's like, none of it means anything.
No.
And it's like this whole idea of like cool guy skateboarding that's like come in recently, it just doesn't sit with me. Skateboarding's for the outcasts, for the people who don't fit in anywhere else. And we don't even fit in together.
No.
We're all so different, and we all have different passions and hobbies, and skateboarding's never the be all and end all of skateboarders. Everyone's always got something else going on, and that's the beauty of it. We're all,
and in a way, sometimes that's because it's so consuming that actually you can allow something else in.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can have other interests, because actually, if, like it can be so consuming that it's like, I'm going to allow other things in, because sometimes
if you don't, you're going to go insane.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes I flick through Instagram and like some skate thing comes up, and I'm just like, I'm drowning in skate stuff. I'm just going to flick by that, because like, and also like sometimes I get a feeling of, I've seen it all before. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's going to have to be something crazy for me to go, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And there has been some stuff recently.
That dude doing all the that Santa Cruz video, Eric Winkowski doing the ho-ho plant with the shove it in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And then that dude who did the double rail gap, and then did the triple rail gap.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
There's
an
mental,
insane level of
yeah.
skateboarding.
Yeah, watching one of those was bad enough, and then now he's doing 2 gaps in a rail. Like, are you joking me? Yeah. It's all going. It's Crikey. We'll get onto that in a minute. Crikey, Christ alive. So, you are absolutely right. I mean, Jesus Christ, teenagehood is kind of gnarly enough as it is. You know, I've still got enough memories of. And as you say, weirdly, kind of being a skateboarder and as a teenager was no different in the 90s. Or maybe it was a little bit, I don't know. We went through this weird thing where like it was really, really uncool. Then when the Hawk games came out, all of a sudden apparently it's the coolest thing in the world.
Well, see, skateboarding does that, doesn't it? It just goes up and down, because like when I was growing up, skateboarding wasn't cool at all. No one skateboarded in my school. There was like maybe one person who did, and everyone was on scooters or BMXs. And then when all my mates got BMXs, I gave it a try, and I was like, I could do a few things, go in the bowl and like fly out and whatnot. But like, I hated how bulky it was, and that's when I found the skateboard.
Right.
And I was like, okay, this feels like home. This feels.
So how old were you when that happened?
Well, I was 14 when I first started skateboarding, and it was like, I never went to the skate park. I just used it to go to school.
Right.
Like I just skate to and from school.
Form of transport. In a
yeah,
way,
exactly. Like I didn't want to take the bus. I didn't want to, cycle the bike or anything. And then it was just like big cruiser wheels, big riser pads, and just straight off to school. And I'd like always get the skateboard taken off for me during school time. And then that's when especially I started to go to the skate park and I started to learn tricks, but it was lockdown that really did it for me. Like, as we were discussing just before, like my life before skateboarding was all about music and bands and going gigging, and then as soon as lockdown hit, obviously I couldn't do any of that.
No.
But I had the skateboard, and that's when I truly fell in love with it and was out every single day, just trying to get better and trying to do the whole thing.
Yeah. And do you remember, was there a point, because again, without sounding too old and repeating stuff that people have heard numerous times, was there a point at which you learned about pros and tricks and this whole culture and all the stuff that goes
so I
with
always
skateboarding?
knew pros obviously existed. I grew up playing the Tony Hawk games,
right?
And my brother skateboarded beforehand, before I started, and you know, he had like a picture of Ben Ramers doing like a double kink rail on his wall, and like
Big up Ben.
yeah, Ben was like my first instance of like, oh, people in the UK do this, like
Right.
oh,
okay,
there's still
okay.
like, because obviously, like I said, skateboarding wasn't cool. I didn't see anyone doing it.
Right.
You know, so it was like all of a sudden it was like this whole kind of world opened up, and then I found like King of the Road with the Enjoy and whoever else was on it, and that series really like pulled me straight into like who these people are, what's their story, what tricks have they done, have they
Right.
jumped down El Toro, have they done this and that. And it's like, for me anyway, I know it is for you 100%, like I am so skate nerdy and like certain little bits like spots
Yeah.
and people and like, you know, just the different cultures that skateboarding has kind of helped develop, and all these people that skateboarding has helped develop. And I don't feel like a lot of these people would still be around if there wasn't the skateboard,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you say, like when the outsiders think skateboarding is cool, it's just like, no, we're just a bunch of nerds. We just happen to be playing on a bit like there's nothing cool about us whatsoever. We're just nerds
Yeah.
who happen to play on a piece of wood and connect with each other. I mean, there is something beautiful about the way we connect with each other, which we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah.
So by that time, is that a little bit after you being about 14? Are you sort of like getting into like...
Yeah, 15, 16,
Right, okay.
like was kind of the, oh, okay, like I'm getting into this, I'm like, you know, learning more about it. And then like, obviously, like I mentioned, like 17, 18, my life was partying and gigging and trying to play as much music as I possibly could. But like the skateboard was always still there. Like even towards like the start of lockdown, it would be like me and my best mate Jason, we'd be thinking, do we go to band practice or do we go to the skate park? And the skate park started to win more than the band practice.
Wow, okay.
Which was kind of the turning point for me before, you know, lockdown kind of hit in, and then that's when it was like, okay, I've got nothing else.
And if my calculations are right, then that's also around the 19 age period where you've started to embrace who you are a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Would that be a fair way of describing it?
Yeah, 100%. And skateboarding I owe a lot to for that reason.
Right.
Is because the last place I wanted to come out to was the skate park. Like I was happy telling my friends, I was kind of happy telling my parents. Do you reckon they can hear that?
I don't know. If you can hear any hoovering going on in the background, is that Mon?
Yeah. Should we give it a minute?
We'll give it a minute. We'll just let...
Where were we leading off from that?
We were at 19 coming out to
Okay,
friends.
I'll try and keep that in my head.
Yeah.
19, skateboarding.
Oh, this is all staying in. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Waiting for Mon to finish the hoovering. We're here. It's the end of the day. It's the end of your working week.
Yeah, it is. Weekend tomorrow. Sweet. Bring on Monday.
Sweet.
Come on, just go down the corridor.
She'll come out in the corridor, because that's where all the showers were originally, right? That corridor that leads out into here.
Yeah, and the changing rooms were in where the cafe was.
Right. Okay.
I only found this out the other day. The wood that is on top of the front desk is the benches of the boys' changing room.
No. Okay. Wow. Okay. I love that you repurposed that.
Well, I didn't. Andre did.
Somebody repurposed it. Yeah. Tim and Andre have done a number here. They've really done.
Yeah, 100%.
Really,
And this was like, campus was my home, like growing up. Like I don't really want to say this on camera, but I was a scooter kid when I was younger. And me and my mates would always go, it would either be Motion or Campus Park.
Right.
Like those are the two parks we'd always go to. Okay. And when this place opened up, that's when I was like getting into skateboarding. And I've still got like photos on my phone of the first time I was here. And I'm like trying to do kick turns on the vert wall. And I'm like helmeted up. I got knee pads on just to try some kick turns.
What sort of person
I was like, whoa, 8th vert, that's so tall. That must be like a standard vert ramp. And not realizing that it's like tiny.
If only.
Yeah.
It wasn't 1985 when you're here. It was 2015. 8 foot for a vert ramp. Jesus.
Yeah. Now that the hoovering stopped.
So you were 19 and you were coming out to your friends,
Yeah.
but you didn't want to come out to the skate park.
Yeah, exactly. It was, it was the last place I wanted to come out to. It felt like the least accepting place that I could have done that, because at that point I wasn't involved in the Bristol scene at all. Like, I was here, I was skating about and doing stuff, but the only people I'd skate with were the people that I knew from home. And
where is home, just briefly?
Just Yate, North Bristol.
Okay, right. Okay.
And so it's like coming into Bristol is a bit of a trek. Like, it's like half hour on a bus. So we'd usually just stay in Yate, and there isn't a skate scene in Yate at all.
Right.
Like, the only person I know that's like slightly involved in skateboarding, well, not slightly, he's heavily involved in skateboarding, is James Collins.
Right.
It's the only person from Yate I know that has anything to do with skateboarding anymore. But there's definitely probably a little scene there now. Like, I've been out of that place for so long that
They've got like a little tiny concrete park on the
so you got
corner
Witch's
or something
Hat,
like that, right.
which is really fun, which is where I learned to skate.
Right.
And then you've got Peg Hill, which is the other one, which was built in, God, like 92, 93, something like that. Like, there's all that old footage.
Looks really promising until you put your
until
board
you
down
go
on the
there,
floor,
and then you're like, oh, this bowl sucks.
Yeah.
Because it was
The
built
finish
by a
of it
swimming
isn't
pool
great.
company.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
it wasn't even built by a skate park
that's
company.
A shame. Oh, that's a
So
real
like, you
shame.
come up the quarter thinking it's going to act like a quarter, and then you just hit a bit and it stops.
Yeah.
And then it feels like a bank.
Right.
And it's just, it just doesn't work, that
It's
skate
a shame.
park.
It had a huge amount of potential.
But it is really nice, like, since obviously living in the centre of Bristol for, like, God, probably like the last 4 years, it's nice to go back to Peg Hill and back to Witch's Hat.
Right.
Because I can see how much I've improved.
Nice.
And how much the skateboarding's changed. Because obviously, like, you don't see it when you're skateboarding every day and you're going to the same spots and you're seeing the same people. And then when you go back to somewhere you grew up skating and like learned all your first like rock fakies and whatnot, and then you're there and it's like, oh, I can skate the down rail now, I can do the bump to bar, I can do this and that. And it's like, oh, like, I've actually come a really long way from when I left.
Nice.
Which is the same feeling I get when I go back to like visit my parents or family. It's like, they can see how much happier I am and how I've changed and like become more me. That they can see that it's like, they can see that progress, and I can see it as well. And I can see how they're interacting with me is a lot more welcoming than it maybe used to be.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice to hear. So was there a definitive moment where you decided to come out to the skate scene?
Yeah, it was, I found Cher Strawberry. And do you know Cher Strawberry?
Oh, right, yes.
Trans skater from the US,
Yeah, okay.
So I used to like a band called Swimmers, who their music video was just basically a Cher Strawberry part.
Right.
And I watched the whole thing like on loop for like probably like 10 or 12 times. And I was like, oh, there's that. You watched the LGBTQ love letters with Jeff Grosso?
Yeah.
I can't remember who it is, but he's talking about Bryan Anderson after it came out. And it says my favorite line in it, he says, "I'm gonna be okay." And that's like the same feeling I had like seeing Cher Strawberry skating. I was like, because in my head it was, I either transition and lose skateboarding, or I don't transition and carry on skateboarding. And like, that was the dilemma in my head. And seeing Cher Strawberry and seeing her being her authentic self and still skateboarding and still having fun, that's when I was like, I'm gonna be okay. And it's fine for me to do the same,
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big turning point when it all kind of finally clicked. Because it's like, I've always known there was something there, but I didn't know what. And then that kind of put it all into perspective for me, and I was like, okay, this is what I want and how I want to live. We've got really heavy off the first 10, 15 minutes.
That's the point. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's both kind of heavy and like, and even like there's something really, really powerful about that statement of it's going to be okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Because we're kind of looping back around to this whole teenage thing. Like, no teenager thinks it's going to be all right. and if they do think it's all right, they're delusional, or they're arrogant, or they're going to get that kicked out of them at some point, unfortunately. Because it never feels like it's going to be all right. It always feels like, I'm doing this wrong, I haven't got it right, I'm not enough. I mean, maybe this is just me, I don't know. But like, I'm not sure if I've ever spoken to any of my friends or anyone else and talked about teenage experience and had anyone go, oh yeah, my teenage years were great.
Loved it.
Brilliant. Like, it's not. It's just not. And fuck me, you know, like, you learn trigonometry and chemistry and all this gear in school, and nobody ever says, actually, perhaps we could do a couple of lessons on, it's going to be really fucking hard when you're a teenager, but it will be okay.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful thing. And for you to have that experience,
100%.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, as Bella said it the other day, like, we did that filming night here for all the girls, like campus petticoat mashup, and she was saying that it's like, if you can't see it, you can't be it, which is why we made that video and wanted to make that video, because if you can't see other people like yourself doing it, then you don't think it's possible.
Right.
And so that was the kind of whole idea of the night, was to create an edit to try and get some more women and some more girls and some more people of marginalised genders into this beautiful thing we call skateboarding, because it is an intimidating place to get your footing in. But once you do, and once you've gone through that grueling process of learning the basics, it is the most wonderful, and you can't even describe it. It is fucking skateboarding.
It is amazing. And shout outs to Bella, by the way, who's an absolute don. You're right. There's really something about, like, I mean, I kind of can't quite remember the exact moment, and I could be fictionalizing it a little bit in my head because it was a fucking long time ago, mine. But that moment where the bigger boys, like, you're having a session, and as an example, and as I say, I don't think it maybe happened exactly this way, but like, you're having for me, part of my experience was like, you're having a session and the big boys go, right, we're going on to somewhere else, you coming with us?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh fuck, I've been accepted, like, I'm in.
And then you end up doing some stupid shit. Chucking yourself down the stairs that you're not ready for. And then eat shit.
Missing the last train home, or getting in trouble in some way, or whatever. But just that moment of just like, I don't know what I did, but I've been accepted.
Yeah.
I'm in, and it's cool. And we're off, and off we go.
Yeah.
But I guess that had a lot of different meaning for you then. So what happened are you willing to tell the story of what happened when you came out? You don't have to. Like,
well, to the skate park, it was a complete opposite reaction I was thinking. Like, everyone has been so supportive and, you know, curious, and, you know, wanting to, you know, find out more and find out how they can make me feel more comfortable. And I never thought that would happen.
Right.
But, you know, the more I've skated and the more I've met, like, these amazing queer people in skateboarding and these amazing women in skateboarding, the more I've realized that there is a place for me and there's a place for everyone. And it's, you know, skateboarding is so accepting and friendly, but it still has a little ways to go sometimes.
It does. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And it concerns me, because so as a young person, when in the like early to mid 90s, when skateboarding absolutely wasn't cool, part of my experience was like, there'd be all these amazing events go on, and it was never talked about on the telly and never talked about in mainstream media. And that started a whole bunch of stuff for me about, like, what other amazing stuff happens in the world that we don't know anything about. Yeah. Like, and very quickly and very early on, it was really obvious to me, this is the home for freaks and weirdos, in the best possible sense. And by no means am I saying you're a freak or weirdo.
Oh no, I am.
Right. you have self-identified, and you've said that already during this interview. So, hence, and yeah, like, yeah, never once did I come across in the early days of skateboarding anyone that was anywhere near mainstream or anywhere near anything to do with mainstream, and that opened my eyes up a lot to like, fuck, there's a whole different world of stuff going on here.
Yeah.
From the stuff we're told about or was talked about, and it was always really interesting. Like, the other lads at school were all interested in team sports and interested in impressing each other.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't give a shit about impressing you lot, because who I want to impress are the bigger, older boys that I see at the weekend when I go out skateboarding.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was an interesting phenomena, because I both didn't fit in at school and stood out in some ways.
I mean, that's what draws you to skateboarding, though, isn't it? Is that the people who are popular or, like, you know, can get along with traditional sports and team playing and football and
traditional
and rugby.
Cultural entities of whatever they may be, whether it be sport or whatever. Yeah.
And so skateboarding sucks you in, because it's like, mum and dad can't tell me how to do this, my friends can't tell me how to do this, the person in Australia can't tell me how to do this.
Like, even other skateboarders can't tell me how to do this.
It's you and it and nothing else.
Yeah.
And that is the fucking, so good.
Yeah, there is really something about that.
100%.
Really, really, and it's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah.
Although we're doing the best job that we can of trying to describe it right now, but it kind of is hard to describe that. Like, and at the same time, so the only way I think of it is that it's really contradictory, because at the same time there are, well, I was going to say there's like no rules and it's creative, but there are some rules, and we all know that, and there are cultural norms, and there are things we're supposed to adhere to as skateboarders, and at the same time, when you break those, nobody shuns you. People are just like, that's different. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, cool. Okay, all right. Whatevs. Yeah.
Apart from when you do a stink bug frontside air, but
yeah, they will never be No,
they will never be acceptable. Tuck fucking knees. It's like,
we're getting fascist about it.
I used to grab stink bug all the time until someone was like, "Don't do that." I was like, "Right, cool. I won't do that."
Do whatever you want, but don't do that.
Yeah, that's the one rule I find important in skateboarding. Everything else doesn't matter.
Right.
But tucking your knee needs to happen.
Stink bugs.
No stink bug.
Okay, so so your overall experience has been positive.
Yeah, I've never met a skateboarder that has a problem with me, or, you know, a problem with queer people. I'm sure there are, but, you know, I've never experienced it firsthand. You know, but I feel like that's also down to where I live.
Right, okay.
And obviously Bristol is like an amazingly accepting place, an amazing city to be like living in.
A very cosmopolitan.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think there's yeah, because like you say, it was talked about in the Grosso like LGBTQ plus episode, where this like crossover of being different. Those two communities really come together in that element of like we don't give a fuck. Like are you on that piece of wood joining in? That's the only thing that we ask. That's the only thing that is important.
Yeah.
In a way, and even then sometimes that's not important, but it kind of is. It's like any other element of your character or personality or persona or who you are is cool, and we're down for that. The critical thing is, are you on that thing, giving it a go?
Yeah.
That's the critical thing.
But then I also feel like sometimes in skateboarding, like those personality traits get like looked over if you're good. You know?
Right, say some more about that.
So it's like, you kind of get that like skill pass, don't you? It's like, if you're good at skateboarding, someone can be like, oh yeah, they're gay or whatever, but they've got a gnarly front Smith, so you know, I'm fine with that.
Right.
And then sometimes it's like, outside of that, sometimes people can be a little bit, you know, homophobic without even realizing it. Or transphobic.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
But because you're right that we still have a huge amount of work to do.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone in every industry, in every sport and whatnot definitely does, 100%. Like, and especially like at the moment where like being queer is at the heart of politics right now. Like it's a scary time to be, you know, trying to work through that for like people who haven't come out or whatnot, but then also like athletes and people in sport that are trans, like they're the ones being targeted by the majority of this politics. And I feel very lucky in skateboarding that it's not organised and it's not, you know, regimented, and I can do it wherever, whenever, and not have anybody tell me how to do it. And on the other hand, there's trans people in America who aren't allowed to compete anymore in the sports that they love because of some bigots thinking that, you know, trans women aren't women and trans men aren't men. And it's
so it would be remiss of me as a so-called journalist to not ask about that and ask about your opinions about that. And it sounds like you've just shared some of them, but could you say some more about that? Like, if you want to, you don't have to. You're not a representative. Make that. I want to just continue to make that really clear. And I don't think that you're a representative, but I am interested in your opinion because you're kind of right that it's not organised on the one hand. It's skateboarding. It'll always be free. It'll always be your skateboarding and my skateboarding. There is no such thing as the skateboarding. There is only your skateboarding
apart
and
from
my
the
skateboarding.
skateboarding show.
That is no one's, least of all mine. But with this introduction of things like the Olympics and all this sort of gear and the qualifiers, I wonder, and because of some outspoken people in the world of skateboarding, which you may or may not be aware of, I don't know, there would appear to be some politics, as you say, around the idea of who can enter what competitions under what title and in what way. So yeah, if you want to talk about that, I really want to hear about it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the arguments people use for trans people not being in sport are always contradictory, because I'm not going to know names because it's nothing to do with skateboarding, but obviously there's this big thing where it's like trans women were born men, which means they have a physical advantage over cis women, which if you look at studies and the data that, you know, has been looked into on this matter, trans women with the same amount of estrogen and hormone levels as cis women perform in sport at a very similar level. And it's always looked over because if a trans person wins something, it's automatically they were born a man. They've got the physical advantage. But when they come 9th or 8th, no one cares. And then when it was recently, I can't remember obviously his name, but there was a trans man who competed against cis men in a boxing competition, and he wiped the floor with all of the cis men. And no one's talking about, you know, him having an unfair advantage, or he was, you know, he was born a female, so what did I say? Physical, yeah, a physical disadvantage. Like, no one ever argues that side. And then an interesting point that a lot of people talk about with like sport is that, especially like around trans issues, is they bring up Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps has like abnormally large lungs for swimming.
Right.
And for him, it's, oh yeah, he can hold his breath for this long and swim this many things. Like, yeah, it's so sick. But like, when a trans woman or a trans man shows any capability of being really fucking good at a sport, it's always shut down to, oh no, they've got a physical advantage. It's never, fuck, look at the barriers this person has overcome. Look at the things they have achieved. And it all just gets reduced down to being trans. And that is the worst thing, because all trans people are just people. It doesn't matter if you're trans or cis. What matters is the person you are, and who you express yourself as. Trans women belong in women's sport, trans men belong in men's sport, and that's that. There's no other argument around it. It's sport, it's silly, it's stupid, it shouldn't be regulated. It's just everyone trying to have some fun. And people trying to police it and think, oh, this person's got a physical advantage. It's just stupid. Just look at the achievements that person has gone through and the barriers they've broken down to get to the point that they are, and hold them up to that, not who, you know, what genitals they have. It's stupid. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's my opinion anyway. But yeah, you got me a little riled up.
No, yeah, well, yeah, I don't want to do that, but I want to explore these things with you, because like as much as I do this for a bit of fun, I do this because I am interested in hearing people's opinions, and I'm interested in, like, I love the world of skateboarding, and I want to explore it. I want to ask people stuff. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to ask anything that you don't want to answer or don't want to talk about. So
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you if that comes up, but I'm sure it won't.
Please do. Please do. So, yeah, I mean, with that in mind, okay, so I'm interested in the context of your, if I'm allowed to ask, and again, I asked beforehand, and you said that I could ask questions. Okay. So I've left a little pause there because I might do some editing. Okay. Because I'm going to ask you this question, and if you don't want to ask, or if you think it's a bit too personal or whatever, or you and this is the first time I've ever done an interview where I've thought, I have to be careful about what I'm asking here. Not for you, but for an audience that might go, why were you even asking that? It's none of your business. Like, I'm interested in your transition, and sort of, and I don't know how to say the right way of saying it, like what you're doing with that, and like where you're going with it.
Right.
And that feels like a really personal thing to ask, but it also feels like a journalistic question that I'm asking. But
yeah, so like where I am now and where I want to be.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Is that okay to ask?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so obviously, like I mentioned, I socially transitioned a few years ago. I started my medical transition about 6 or 7 months ago, somewhere around there. So that's, pardon me. So that's HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, which is basically balancing my hormone levels to be more representative of a cis woman's. And so, like, what comes along with that is a lot of changes and a lot of side effects and a whole array of things you can read up on online. But that's kind of the point I'm at now. And the way I mean, it's due to the skateboard, but the way I think about everything in life is through skateboarding. So the way I'm looking at my transition is moving forwards and progression like a skateboard. So it's like, social transition was kind of like learning the basics and like doing kick turns and doing fakies.
Yeah, okay.
And then like the medical transition is like, okay, you're starting to get your moves up, you're starting to do 50-50 grinds, you're starting to do ledge tricks, you're starting to do all of this. And then it's like, if you ask yourself, what am I going to learn next? You've got a million fucking things you want to learn next. Eggplants, frontside inverts, you know. And it's the same on my transition side. It's, what do I want to do next? I have all these different options, and it's just a matter of trial and error and working out what works for me and what doesn't work for me, because no one person's the same. Like, a few of my friends have had like FFS surgery, which is facial feminization surgery.
Right.
Try saying that 15 times fast. But yeah, and after they had that done, I was thinking, do I want to do that? Is that something I want to look into? And you know, I haven't come to a conclusion, but it's just that starting to think about them is kind of like starting to learn a trick, and then it's slowly realizing what's going to work for me and what's not. And you know, I don't know what's next,
right?
But I know of a million things that could be next.
Right.
And it's all about just working out where I want to be and how I'm going to get to that point. And you don't know until you do it, which is the same with skateboarding. You don't know if you can do a frontside invert until you Steve Cat.
Start trying to pull it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to my medical transition and what that might bring, but I'm not set in my path of I want to do this, I want to do that. I'd like to imagine it's more of an open door and more of a, okay, this hasn't made me happy, what could make me happier?
And with that in mind, with the things that have happened so far, pardon me, have they had an impact on your physical ability to do skateboarding?
Yes, somewhat. So it's very slight little things that you wouldn't really be able to list, but I get tired a little bit more easily. I've lost a lot of my muscle dexterity and my arms and my legs, and so that's kind of been weird to adjust to, because it's what used to be a 4-hour session now is a 2-hour session,
right,
and getting past that point can sometimes be quite difficult for me.
Right.
But at the same time, it's it's not enough of a change that I'm oh God, I need to stop doing this. I need to skate for 4 hours straight, So it's I feel the changes, but it's not, I'm still the same as I was before transition, but I'm just happier.
Right. Good.
That is the main thing.
That is a critical thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Very critical. Okay. So, when did you start working here?
It was just after lockdown ended. I've been here for about 2 and a bit years, I think. Right. But it's all kind of blurred into one. Like I said, coming here quite a lot, throughout my teenage years, I feel like I started working here when I was 12.
Right. Because you were here so often.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Okay.
And I've always been hanging out and seeing campus evolve. And it's now that I kind of have a say in stuff that's happening, it's
right, nice.
It's great. I mean, with I mentioned the women's filming night we did, and helping out on the She Shred stuff and the queer nights that we have here, it's really nice to be able to, you came to the one last night.
Last night, yeah.
It's so lovely to be able to give people who otherwise wouldn't really have a space in skateboarding a space of their own to, try it and work it out, because it's not for everyone. It's the hardest fucking thing in the world.
Right.
You either get obsessed or you're going to do it for 2 months and be oh God, fuck this.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see different groups of people come through and find their place in skateboarding, because there's a place for everyone. You just got to want it.
It wasn't that busy last night, unfortunately.
No, but then that kind of feeds into what we're trying to do here, and that's
give a safe space.
Provide a safe space.
Yeah.
Which is the most important thing, I think, about this place, is that we do support those groups in skateboarding that otherwise would get looked over.
And I think that's so important, and that's and I fully dig that and support that, which is why I want to be here as an ally to say I'm down, I'm in, please don't think that all skateboarders are going to push you away because you're different in some way. That ain't the deal. And if they do, then the issue's with them, not with you.
Exactly.
Because it is as we were saying before, that it is encompassing and welcoming, and at the same time there is an element of kind of having to prove yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
There is an element of okay, we keep seeing you turn up to the skate park, we keep seeing you here, you keep trying, come and have a session with us.
Yeah.
Come to this spot that we know. You're not just somebody coming along now and playing, because there's welcoming and there's elitism.
Yeah. 100%.
And sometimes they weirdly go hand in hand.
Yeah. Especially in skateboarding.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the unspoken nature of it. Because whereas in other sports, okay, well, you've turned up to the practice and you've made the team. This is we don't, there's no boss here to say they're all right now, they're in the team.
Yeah.
It's just people going, yeah, you've turned up enough. You've turned up.
Apart from team managers.
Yeah.
That is quite literally their job.
Yeah. Yeah. From a commercial, but that's only on a commercial sense, and not in a sort of like everyday user of the skate park.
Yeah, 100%.
Sense, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Team managers, do have a habit of going, no, you're not on the team anymore. Go. So I think I really applaud that you guys have taken that step and said, actually, we're going to have a dedicated night. And it's still open to allies as well. So there's a sort of, you're sort of showing through example that there's not elitism, but because I'm really consciously aware, and I was going to mention this earlier, but it slipped my mind as we were talking about the sort of welcoming nature of it, but there's still a long way to go. That a lot of different groups, a lot of different subcultures in skateboarding, not that it's a subculture, so please don't think I mean that, but a lot of different groups are catered for in the commercial world of skateboarding.
Yeah.
If you're a mosher, there's a brand for you. If you're a hip hopper, there's a brand for you. If you're a hipster, there's a brand for you. I think that's slightly changing, but I still don't see it as much in the queer community.
Well, there is.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying it's changing.
Glue in there.
Yes.
So, which obviously is like the brands that are at the forefront of like queer skateboarding or whatnot. And then you've got Petticoat, which is kind of the whole point. But like going off of what you just said, is a lot of people ask me like, oh, is it just women on the team? Like, is it an all girls team or whatnot? And I'm like, no, it's for everyone. It's not a women's company. It's not a queer company, because there's only so far you can go being inclusive until it comes exclusive, and then it becomes just you just single yourselves out. And so it's like, yeah, there's a few men on the team, yeah, there's a few non-binary people on the team, yeah, there's a load of women on the team, but that's the idea of it, is that it's a traditional skate company flipped on its head. It's for the women with a few men,
Nice.
just to please the guys.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, love that. It's totally flipped on its head. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about kind of just trying to support women's skateboarding in the UK, because obviously There and Unity are in the US,
right,
and not a lot of people even know about them. Like,
that's what I mean. It's changing, but it's still not. The presence isn't as big. Yeah.
So like we get There and Unity in quite a lot, like their decks and their apparel and whatnot. And from what we've talked to Shiner about, is that a lot of skate shops aren't really buying it and aren't really selling it because they don't think it's doing too well. But here, There and Unity fly off the shelves.
Right.
Like, they're probably the boards we sell the most of here.
Right. Okay.
And so there's definitely a market for it, and there's definitely a place for it, but people just don't know it's going on.
And also, I wonder if that's part of this growth that's still needed. I wonder at what point, because and again, I'm becoming really conscious of this. There's skateboarding, and there's the industry, and sometimes those two things aren't always aligned with each other.
Yeah.
And so, unfortunately, because these shop owners need to make money and they need to pay the bills, they have to think about what will sell and what it means to have those brands in their shop.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a shame, because it will mean that some young person might walk into that shop and not feel that there's a brand that speaks to them, because these shops are cautious or whatever, have made some decision based on something that we may never know about to not stock those brands.
Yeah.
So without stocking those brands, there might just, even if it's just one person might walk into that shop and go, fuck, there's nothing here for me. Whereas if that brand had been in there, they might have been able to go, that speaks to me.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I want. Yeah. And that's part of the progress I think that we still need to make, that openness to that idea of like, no, skateboarding's here for everyone.
Yeah.
Like really everyone. And if I have to sit on this board for a little while before it sells, so be it. and I want to make it clear to everyone who comes in the shop that I'm here for everyone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the shop is accessible to everyone who wants to come in. Yeah, and certainly Campus, by doing the nights like last night, the LGBTQ plus night, is saying outright, we are here for everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
No questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I dig that, and I think that's a powerful statement, and I think it's one that maybe people are cautious to make for whatever reasons, because we never know what somebody's intent or reason is behind, you know. Just because somebody performs an action that might appear to be ignorant, we never quite know what someone's reasoning is behind it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because it may not be that, but it might have come across as that. I'd like to try to think the best of people, but unfortunately sometimes it is like, oh, you are ignorant. Shit. Okay, that's a shame. Fuck. I kind of was down for that at first.
Ignorance is bliss, though.
Oh God.
I'm sure they live happy lives.
Who knows? Who knows? But I'd like to hope that it's changing. I'd like to hope that
100% it is.
people are getting a little bit more aware of what's going on around them.
Yeah. I mean, there's a million little projects and magazines and brands and people and, you know, communities that are springing up out of nowhere that are catering towards these groups. You've just got to dig a little harder and search a little bit longer to find them. And they are out there. There's Queer Skate South Wales, Queer Skate Bristol, there's like all these little like queer collectives popping up all around skateboarding, because they know that skateboarding is a powerful social tool and that it can bring people together and make people feel welcome and at home. And they're not necessarily capitalizing on it, but they are in a way. You know, they are providing this space and making sure that these people feel accepted in this wonderful thing we call skateboarding.
And is there queer communities outside of skateboarding that you're involved in?
Not really.
Right.
My life is totally and absolutely run by skateboarding. There is pretty much nothing else I ever do.
And again, apologies if that's an ignorant question to ask.
No, not at all. It's just, all of my hobbies surround skateboarding as well, like videography and photography. The reason I got into them was so I could shoot my friends skateboarding.
Right, okay.
So when I'm injured, I'm just there like, yeah.
Because was it you saying that, did you do media at uni?
I did
Or some sort of media course?
I did music business and event management at uni.
Oh, okay, right.
But I've done like, you know, I've did film studies and theatre and,
right, okay.
you know, I've always done quite creative subjects, and that's definitely like helped me out with like starting the brand and, you know, learning how to use a camera and filming and all of this different stuff. Like, it's all kind of congealed into, you know, the mess that I call petticoat.
Mess that you call petticoat. Brilliant. So, a bit of an indulgent question, and it's a bit subjective. So you mentioned one inspiration to you. I'm guessing because of an experience that I saw with my own two eyes, that you know where this is going, don't you? that BA was a bit of an inspiration at some point.
100%.
Okay.
It's fucking Brian Anderson. You don't need to say anything else.
He's fucking amazing.
He's the absolute dude. Like, God. He's
So it was special for me as well. Like but like I'm 44. Like I'm no longer like 18. At 18, I could have told you who rode for what company, what wheel company, what shoe company, what tricks they'd done, where they were from. You know, I could have told you all that stuff. Nowadays, I barely fucking know who's pro or what's going on or who's who. I'm still like, where's all the Jeremy Ray footage? And everyone's like, who's fucking Jeremy Ray? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, okay, it's not 1996 anymore, all right. But so when they came through Bristol a little while ago, a couple of months ago, like, you know, obvious, like, yeah, I want to go and say hi to Grant Taylor. That's an obvious one, but like, Oh yeah, and TNT, like, okay, yeah, cool. It was nice to go meet him and say hi, but like, I made a beeline at one point. I was like, okay, I'm watching all this stuff. This is fine. There's BA, right?
Yeah.
And I left the crowd, and I took him to one side to just say, you know, I just want you to know, as an old skater who was watching you in the '90s come up and come through, that like, you're an inspiration in lots of different ways. Like, your skateboarding is inspirational. To hear you come out is inspirational, because that needs to be out and it needs to be spoken about, because it exists in the world, and if we're going to keep it all hidden, that's just bullshit, and that's not skateboarding. That's not skateboarding in any way, because the whole point of it is that we're sort of out as skateboarders, although it's not the same thing and it's nowhere near the same thing, but you know, there's an element of like, no, I'm not anything, I don't want anything to do with your mainstream culture, thank you. This is what I do, and I'm proud of it. And so it was an honor for me to have 2 minutes with him, and just to say to him, you know, like, I don't want anything, you don't need to sign anything, I just want you to know that I'm one of the people that has been inspired, and I'm great, and thank you, like thank you for what you've done for skateboarding in so many different ways.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes how influential he is. Well, I'm sure he has some sort of idea.
What was really, really beautiful to see was when some annoying extrovert literally dragged you over to him. Literally dragged you. I'm sorry, I don't.
Well, I'm going to provide some more context here.
Go on then.
Because I was fucked. I was like, I was on another planet. It was like, we were there all day waiting for the anti-hero team to come. And we were just sat at Dina, like, watching the road, like waiting for the van to pull out.
Where's the minibus?
Where are they? And then, oh shit! Ignore that.
Well, that's important, because that's going to come in a minute, so that's good.
Yeah, we were waiting all day, and I was like, fine, right, another joint, another pint, just have another pint. One more, that'll be fine. And then by the time they had turned up, I was steaming. And then obviously Grant Taylor was flying around the bowl, going up the extension,
killing
doing
it,
crazy shit as per usual.
It's the second time I've seen him skate that place, and just like, oh, you're just taking a piss, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then everything dies down, Grant Taylor stops, it's getting a little bit darker. I'm like, right, I can have a skate now. And I start skating, and then I see you in your orange beanie pop around. And he's like, Alexis, come here. I was like, okay, cool. I'm skating, like, what? And he was like, nah, come here. And I was like, right, okay, fine. And then met BA and fully cried.
So Joe and I, I've probably told you that it was Habgood who was like, we gotta get them together, because like.
Yeah, and how amazing is that? Because it was like a 10-second bit of, oh yeah, Brian Anderson's my favourite skater, like one of the first times I met Habgood.
Right, okay.
And
this is what I'm saying.
He held on to that in his head.
We weren't making any assumptions.
That connection.
Yeah, we weren't making any assumptions.
Yeah, exactly.
Habgood was like, Alexis has told me that he's her favourite skateboarder. And I was like, right, that's not, you can't tell me that and expect me not to do anything. Like, fuck this bullshit. And it's because I talked to him earlier. I was like, right, he's obviously my new mate, so he's going to do me a favour.
Brian Anderson, the homie.
My mate. So I was like, right, this is not happening. This is fucking happening right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you did, because I wouldn't have. I didn't meet anyone else in the anti-hero team apart from that brief second I met Frank Guerra.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah. He was there. Yeah, he was cool as well. Yeah, because he's a bit of a '90s head. That was cool to meet him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
But like you set Joe and I off as well.
Yeah. It was such a surreal experience being stupidly drunk and stupidly stoned, and then there's Brian Anderson in front of you, and he says my name. Like, that was the weirdest fucking thing in the world.
Sweetie, it wasn't only that. It was like, I had seen him talk to people and be nice and shake hands and like then move on. And then like 20 minutes later, Joe and I are still looking at each other going, he's still talking to her. Like, he fully took you to one side and went, right, come over here then. Let's have some space and let's have some time. And we were just like, oh, it's the most beautiful thing we've ever seen. Like, we were tearing up. We were genuinely tearing up.
Yeah, I'm never going to forget it for the rest of my life. That would be like.
What did that mean to you to talk to him and to have? And can you remember what you talked about, or is it still a bit of a blur?
I think I just told him how good he was at skating, which he probably already knows. Like, oh my god, that's switch free. Oh, whoa. Yeah, it's like I said, I was fucked. So it's kind of I know it happened. I didn't dream it, but yeah, it was a very surreal experience, just being able to like meet one of your heroes and and then be so nice and so accommodating, and yeah, it was insane. And like even seeing my mates like meet Brian Anderson, like that for me as well was like, we're all homies, we're all mates, we're hanging out, we're on Anti-Hero.
We're living the dream. We are living the dream right here.
Mate, yeah, what a day.
Yeah, he was really nice, wasn't he? Like,
yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Such a dude.
Yeah, that was a really special moment. A really special moment.
100%.
And I've had it. I've I sat and talked with Tony Alva, man. I've interviewed Tony Alva. That was like a real moment. That was
I don't know what I'd do if I met Tony Alva.
I'm sat here with Tony Alva. And Lance Mountain, that was another one.
Oh,
that
mate,
was a big,
wow.
fuck, man. I'm actually sat here talking with Lance Mountain right now.
When was that?
That was when the Flip team came over and did a demo in 2011.
Where did they skate? Were they up in Lloyd's?
Hempstead.
Ah.
Yeah, I went down there.
Way before XC, right?
Yes. No. This was at the XC.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, okay then, talk us through your setup.
Oh, setup. Okay.
Because I'm wondering if there's a reason you ride an Anti-Hero board.
Yeah, it is the only shape I really love.
We just lost the mic. Let me hold that. You put your mic up.
Where does it go?
They are a little bit jiggly, aren't they, on the front?
Yeah, loose as fuck. It's the only way we like it. Yeah, Anti-Hero Green Giant. Nice shovely nose and a nice blocky tail.
Yeah.
I like the shovely nose for kick flips. You don't have a lot of wood to kick through. I like the big blocky tail because it's like just good for tail slides and tail stalls. Formula 4, I think they're the lock-in shape.
Right, okay.
But to be honest, if they're not the classics, I'm happy.
What size were they at one point?
These were 58s.
Fucking hell,
They're
mate.
49 now.
Sweet, you need some new wheels. What are you on about?
Yeah, I can't afford them. Yeah, and then these are the new Ace Hollows. 77s, 9.25 inch axle. Yeah, representing the TR7 lads.
Oh, nice, yeah. They were up the other day for having their boards out, weren't they? And
yeah, stickers are the most important bit of a skateboard.
Clearly.
If you don't have good stickers, you're not going to skate good.
No.
And then 1/4 inch riser pads as well, nice and high off the ground. They're indie bolts. I need some Ace ones.
Right.
But yeah, that's my setup. Loose as fuck.
Loose as fuck. Quote,
that is the key.
Quote unquote. Loose as fuck.
It's like I had to go on your board the other day, and that is like almost the complete opposite of mine. Rails, popsicle, indies,
tight trucks.
Trucks. You skate bones as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I do acknowledge Spitfire as a wheel brand. I'm not that elitist.
They do exist.
There's Bones or Spitfires, I get that.
Yeah, they're the only two. Maybe Sabbath. I haven't tried some yet. I want to try them though, they look cool. But yeah, petticoat sticker as well. Obviously. But yeah, I will.
Oh my god, we haven't even, okay. Let's talk again about that nearer the time of you releasing it.
What, the decks and that?
No, petticoat, like the next video. Well, we're getting on for an hour.
Fuck, really?
I know, right? I know.
That's fine,
I wanted to talk about you.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about you.
Well, petticoat is me.
Yes. So. Yeah, and I think the batteries are going on this thing, and I don't want to stop it really because we're getting some.
Well, let's try and get into it. We may as well.
All right, and
for the last little bit.
Let me put some fresh batteries in this then.
Cool.
So I've got
sounds good.
Okay. Because this amateur didn't put fresh batteries in to start with. What an idiot.
Bloody hell,
good. Right, battery's changed. I don't know if I cut that or just leave that all in. I don't know what I'll do.
Yeah, Mona can be involved.
Mon! Say hi, Mon. That's Monica. She's great. Right. Yes, I do want to ask about Petticoat, but I also want to come back and do like more of a detailed
we can
interview about that. But so when did the first Petticoat was it just a video to start with, or was it always going to be
it started as my uni project for the end of uni.
Right,
so because I went to BIM, it's kind of like they're very laid back there because obviously it's a music uni,
right?
And like all of the teachers are like, you have to be in the music industry to be able to lecture there,
right? Okay.
And so it's like their lecturing is their part-time job. Their full-time job is running festivals, doing events, playing in bands and whatnot. And so like all the teachers are very accepting of creative ideas. It doesn't have to be really around the brief, as long as it kind of fits loosely.
As long as it touches the brief.
So yeah, when we got to the final project, at that point I had done basically all of my essays on skateboarding.
Right.
And like it was like, oh, it's a skateboarding event and there's some bands. So it's music related, I swear.
There you go.
And so I was like, well, what do I want to do for my final project? I don't want to like write a dissertation for 10,000 words and just like, you know, I'd probably end up talking about like queer skateboarding or something like that. And he was like, I wanted to do something creative, but as I said, like music was kind of starting to like leave my life, and it wasn't at the forefront of my mind the whole time. And so it was like I wanted to start a project that could possibly carry on after uni. And that's where I came up with the idea of Petticoat, and it was originally called Plank. That was the name of the brand. I was going to be like, Plank skateboards. And then I started to come up with the concept for the video. I was like, cool, it would be Plank presents Petticoat, the video.
Right.
And so I started to show people, and I was like, yeah, I'm working on this video, like, would you want to be involved? Would you want to film some clips? And they're like, oh yeah, so the brand's Petticoat, right? And then at that point I was like, no, it's Plank. But then in the back of my head was like, that is a better name.
Right.
It does fit better. And it does work. It explains the brand just by looking at the word. It's feminine, it's a little bit weird, it's, you know, it's skateboarding.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so it all started with, my idea was that I was going to teach myself how to sew and teach myself how to screen print and teach myself like fashion basically. And then I realized really quickly that you can't learn how to sew and you can't learn how to screen print and you can't learn the whole world of fashion in about 6 months. So I had to strip my idea down a little bit, and I was like, right, what am I good at? What can I get done? And it was, let's film a video and let's just try and showcase the amazing talent that we have in Bristol. And of course it ended up just being all of my mates. And we filmed the first video and we did a premiere at Strange Brew in April this year actually. It was, yeah, God, it was so long ago.
Right, it feels a long time ago.
Yeah. But yeah, that night was amazing. We had sold it out. It was fully packed. Like, it was great. It was a really good night. And to see like, you know, we crammed so much film into 6 months. We filmed a 35-minute length video in 6 months. And we were just like, granted there's like a lot of skate park footage, but it was just like go, like every day, like being out and filming and trying to get it done. And it's like the girls were really backing it as well, because it was like, they're not just like one clip in a scene video. They all have their own part and their own section, and they all had their own goals and their own points they wanted to work towards, which was lovely to see. Because like Poppy, for instance, we spent 3 days filming her ender. Right. Like we went back 3 times for like 2-3 hour sessions, and her face landing it. It was, oh mate, it was the best feeling I had making that video. It was like, okay, this is worth it. I'm doing something special here. Nice. And so this new one that we're working on now is going to be a much larger video with a lot more people in it. Larger, I say, like people. It's going to be a short video this time. Right. But it's like, we're just stripping it back now and making it more how I kind of grew up with skate videos. Like, cause obviously I've mentioned we're filming at VX. Right. And you know, I grew up with VHS, and like Granted, I was mainly watching Pingu and not Baker Free, but VHS was still a big part of my life. Like those colours and the way like the screen like does the little like it's really ingrained in me.
Right.
And so when I thought, what are we going to do for the next video? How can we step it up? How can we make it even better than last time? And I thought, just go back to the roots, go back to what's tried and tested and true. And that's VX, street skating, and gnarly fucking women on skateboards, which is exactly what this new video is going to be.
Sweet.
And that is the plan. And obviously we'll have the clothing coming out, so a few t-shirts and hoodies, and we also have skateboards coming, which I'm not riding one right now, which I definitely should be, but I will have one in a few weeks.
Nice.
I should have had that for this.
Well,
should have called Bert up.
Like I say, I want to do a more detailed interview about that stuff, because I think there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, 100%.
So we'll revisit that. But yes. Yeah, and this is a new long sleeve tee.
So yeah, this is the one I've been working on recently.
Is the camera? Make sure the camera.
I'll twist towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't quite know who it is.
No.
We were trying to work out if it was St. George or Joan of Arc.
Yeah, or representation of Joan. But you're right, it does look like somebody slaying a dragon. So
yeah, that is definitely happening.
It has strong St. George vibes about it, yeah.
But yeah, it's like a lot of the artwork comes from like 16th century novels and you know, like a lot of like medieval kind of like style drawing, which like I'm more of an editor than a designer,
right?
You know, so I'm taking a lot of influence from a lot of different places and kind of pulling it all together and mashing it up and trying to make it, you know, represent the brand and represent what I want to be doing with the brand, which is pushing women's skateboarding whilst at the same time supporting everyone in skateboarding, because that's what every brand should be working towards.
Yes.
You know, it shouldn't be you don't skate Jersey barriers, you can't be a part of our skate team, you can't wear our clothes. I get it, if you don't skate, don't wear skate clothes if you don't skate, but apart from that, you know, like,
wow,
every brand should be for everyone.
Gatekeeper.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, I'm always like, skateboarding's so inclusive, and then I'm like, no, not if you can't do that.
Okay, so I'm not, so like I say, I'm really interested in the petticoat stuff, but I want us to do like a separate, more detailed interview about that, where we can really
do that.
Yeah, where we can really look into that.
Part 2.
Exactly, right? Ongoing series.
Yeah, we could do it like yearly. We could do a yearly skateboarding show catch up.
Totally want to do that. Totally want to do that. But this has been about you today, and that's what I wanted it to be about, with your permission and with your consent,
which
of course.
You
gave.
I've actually said everything today against my will.
Thanks for that. Thanks. Thank you so much for saying that.
Hashtag cancel brat.
Oh my God! No, don't, please. Or do. Or don't. Do whatever you want. It's all good. It's all good. You can all think for yourselves. Plans for this? Oh, you're working on petticoat, aren't you? Is there much else you're working on?
That is
not that it's because I know it's all consuming for you. I know it's something that you're really putting your energy into. So when I say, is there anything else? It's not in a dismissive way. It's
the one thing that I really want to work towards, which will be petticoat involved, is getting a vert ramp in Bristol.
Wow.
That is the tippity top of my list, especially for petticoat.
In the uber cool street orientated culture of Bristol, you want a vert ramp.
I reckon knock down Lloyd's, get rid of it, whole building,
just
whole ledges,
sack it off,
and just one big vert ramp.
One big skate park transition complex.
Exactly.
You had your time, you uber cool ledge skaters. Now
do some bloody backside airs.
Now do a rock and roll. Yeah, I can really see that going down well. Yeah. There'd be even more people at the Flatland spot in the city centre. And just us.
More skate stoppers that are that don't actually do anything.
Don't work. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't get how people spend all day there. I'm not hating on the centre
I was
spot
going to
crew,
say, yeah. Now, come on.
but,
After everything
you know,
we've
like,
just said about like acceptance.
yeah. Like if you want to go skate flat ground for 4 hours, be my guest. But personally, if there's not a quarter
your
pipe,
vibe.
I'm not vibing.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm
I just want to
feeling
do
that.
front slash.
I'm feeling that, but I can't also deny that was my whole, like, there was a lot of time spent doing flatland skateboarding as a teenager in dirty, dusty car parks, Sunday
of course.
sessions. Yeah.
It's got to be done in Bristol, especially.
Yeah.
The only indoor spots we have is this and Trenchard Street.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Alexis, thank you.
Wrapping it up?
This has been wonderful and long overdue.
good.
We've been planning to do this for so long, and then
It's finally happened.
it's finally happened.
Well, yeah.
Thank you for your honesty and your openness, and for sharing things with me today.
Yeah, that's fine.
I really appreciate that.
Turn this shit off. Go skate.
What she said.
Lovely. That was really fun. I forgot the camera was there.